Hi, we're a bunch of nerds talking about cartoons. You want to join us?
Welcome to the ADHD podcast. I am your host, Steve.
And I'm your other host, Rob. Welcome into this very special, very queer edition of the ADHD podcast. We're going to be talking a lot about LGBTQ representation in media, spanning from animation to anime and even into video games.
Yeah, it's going to be a good talk. Not to date this podcast at all, but we are recording this in Pride Month, so I just wanted to make sure that was put out there so that it's not just a random topic and be like, hey, we're trying to be relevant. We are trying to be relevant, but in a more overt way.
Allies. Yay, allies.
All right, so to start this conversation off, we're just going to kind of take a look back at where LGBTQ was represented in the past with animation. And to start it off, it was not represented well, especially here in the West.
No, especially here, it was always assumed either. I kind of like, I think about it in some different categories where it was like, it was either the subverted butt of the joke, whether it was like shows like The Simpsons with Mr. Smithers or Hey Arnold with Mr. Simmons, their teacher, the second teacher in that show. But you know, they were kind of more of a subtle nod or subtle reference to it.
Yeah, it really wasn't like out there. People didn't feel comfortable expressing it. It was always just kind of like the punchline, the joke. And that's just kind of how, at least when we were growing up, society just kind of saw either homosexuality or anything like that as just subpar.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think especially now in today's era of where we are in media with representation of the spectrum of LGBTQ, you're seeing it get very much more normalized. And I feel like that's partly because it's becoming more accepted within our society. But again, there's always going to be blowback and fight back to it. But at the end of the day, the strong push is there. It's going to keep growing. Like you see it now, especially with a lot of the Disney shows, like Owl House has very much a lot of representation going on in it.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, just looking at that series alone, you have trans representation, you have lesbian representation, you have ace representation, you have bi representation, you have interspecies representation, technically, if you look at it from, you know, a witch's standpoint to a human standpoint, because even though they may have most of the same bits, it's that magic sack that keeps us from doing the fucking magic.
Yeah, the magic sack, right? Talking about magic, too, we can kind of rope anime into this, too, and just talk about shows like Sailor Moon, one of the original animes that came over here, and just their kind of what happened with their representation, you know, just with the dubs going across nations, if you would. Some of the finer points of that show may have gotten lost on an American audience. Maybe it was just to make it more palatable to people buying it. But
100%. I mean, I know we probably should have done our research a little bit more before getting into the episode, but I remember it was two of the Sailor Scouts over in Japan were seen as, you know, being together. And the second that it came over to the United States, you just saw everything go from them being together to them just being friends. And a lot of the stuff was written out of them showing affection and showing care towards each other outside of just that friendly little bit of love, rather than two people actually showing that they care for each other.
Right, absolutely. And just to piggyback off of that too, right, you had that version, right, of anime being brought out there from Sailor Moon, but then you have shows that exist like Yuri on Ice or like Ouran High School Host Club that really tackle the ideas of gender norms and societally acceptable kind of relationships in that point. And Yuri really kind of throws it over the head, as opposed to Oron that treats it more, again, kind of like a joke, but it's more a point of how ridiculous some people's mindsets are.
Or even running it back a little bit, looking at One Piece. When that first came over, you have one of the characters, Bon Clay, who, when he is represented, you can definitely tell that he is a part of the community, with just how flamboyant, how over the top he is with everything, how much he cares for his crewmates and everything that's underneath him in more ways than one, probably. But just seeing how that character was seen as a joke within the organization that he worked for, he was always seen as the joke. Granted, he was number 2, I believe. 2.
Research and development?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bon Clay was Mr. 2, and did not have a female counterpart with him because he was the female counterpart. It was easier for him to work alone within the Baroque's works than it was to, try to have somebody else with him. And that was definitely seen a little bit as a joke, a little bit as a farce, but over the time he grew into being a pretty strong and compelling character.
Yeah, definitely a lot of One Piece fans will hold on to him as one of the pillars, one of the great characters for them, and also just another fun piece of representation in media that is growing, certainly, but definitely is needed to kind of hone in on some of the stuff being, either a prejudice towards their sexuality or just, being more and more away from the butt of the joke and more about being either in the limelight or just deemed normal. Like, there are some shows like Big Mouth, let's talk about, and I know it's kind of raunchy material for a lot of people, but honestly, that is a great show for a lot of different reasons. And weirdly enough, I kind of wish we had it when we were teenagers, because I feel like it could have helped explain a lot of things a lot quicker.
Oh, 100%. I wish that we had that show growing up, because it would have been funny to watch as a show just for, being a stupid teen at that point. But being able to understand what's going on with my body, what's going on with my friend's body, understanding sexuality a little bit easier, seeing it as, it's a joke, but you're still having deep conversations about it, and being open that we'd be able to potentially have these conversations with our friends. How many of those did you have when you were growing up? Because I know, at least, and this is going to look horrible on me, anytime that we would turn to a friend and try to call them stupid, we'd always call out there, gay.
I think everybody did, but I think that was just because that's what society kind of made us do in that sense, especially like those 90s kids. That's who we were, and that's kind of like the culture behind it. But even getting back to the original point with the Big Mouth's representation, it's not the forefront storyline of that show, which is what a lot of people that are consuming the media now that have a kind of quote-unquote issue with the representation is that it's too out there, it's too much for my young child to watch, where something like Big Mouth was, granted it's not that audience, for a younger audience, but just talking about these things as a normal, acceptable topic is something that definitely needs to keep happening here.
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely doesn't need to be, shoved down your throats. I feel like in any media going to the extreme, whether it be for good reasons or not, it's not always needed or necessary. But having it a part of the story, having it a part of a normalized story where it's not the, hey, I'm gay, woohoo. It's more of just the, hey, I'm gay.
I happen to be here.
This is just a part of my life, but I still need to, fight the big bad guy and save the world.
It's still normal life. Like, people do encounter gay relationships all the time. Some of your friends might have come from a gay relationship, and people don't even consider it a part of the original mainstream media, which I still don't understand why we're not pushing more and more for this kind of stuff. And I know I'm not the person with all the answers, but I know there's a time where we need to get this to younger and younger audiences so they have a chance to understand it too, and not from a sense of like, hey, we're shoving gay down your throat so you have to be gay. But it's also a matter of, you know, there's going to be, out of maybe 10 kids, there's going to be a couple of them that sit there and take that conversation to heart and ask questions when they get home to their parents. And that's something that, you know, desperately needs to happen. So it's becoming more normalized, becoming more normal.
Oh, no, definitely. And that conversation, using animation is a great way to start that conversation, because it can be shown in an overt light sometimes to help everything, but it can also be shown in that subtle light where it's just like, Mom, those two men are holding hands, and it should be fine for a parent to be like, yeah, no, they're together. Love is love. It's perfectly fine. In the society that we live in nowadays, we are. Yeah, even just seeing two guys in a commercial sparks controversy. La-di-da.
All right, so I'm going to kind of break off from our topic a little bit just to throw some fun in here, because I feel like we're getting maybe a little too heavy. But who's your favorite gay character in TV right now?
Oh, right now,
yeah, I know. It's
why do you don't even give me a chance to think?
But that's kind of the fun of it.
Luce. I love Luce from Owl House.
I feel like everybody has universally, like, protect this child at all costs.
Except
Luce.
Except for Disney.
Disney's evil, and we know this. I mean, I didn't say that. No. Don't come after us.
Disney, please don't cancel us. The only reason I say that is just because, just looking at when I was out in Disneyland a little while ago, I tried to find one little thing of Owl House, and there was, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of representation from everything else, but I couldn't find anything from Owl House. I could find Emperor's New Groove. I could find damn near everything except Owl House, and I was like, damn.
I mean, it's the whole idea about, like, corporations queer baiting, right? Just to kind of make another dollar amount, kind of make some more cash money on it. Money. They just assume that a lot of the casual LGBTQ supporters see a rainbow on something, slap it on it, and call it a day without even processing the story behind it or what they're buying necessarily, you know? Like you're saying, there's going to be people that are looking for that kind of Owl House merchandise, looking for that Lose merchandise, that are not going to find it because it's not acceptable, it's not cool. Meanwhile, you can throw a rainbow on Kronk's outfit and it'll sell millions of dollars and millions of profits because, hey, you'll buy it.
Shut up and take my money.
Yep. The only thing I just wanted a plushie king. That's all. Because he's king. But just to kind of continue on that story with Owl House, like it really helped. I don't know. I feel like that show really helped push the boundaries, at least with some of the stuff that's been on Disney recently, for having more representation with the LGBTQ community. But I'm going to flip it on to you at the moment. Who's your favorite character?
Who's my favorite queer character? Let's see. No, honestly, I would have to top in my head right now. I mean, Hey Arnold's my childhood, so I have to go with Mr. Simmons, just as coyly as they pulled it off with him, even though it was not very coy. If you have any kind of gaydar, you kind of saw the character right away and just went, yeah. No, but either him or Catra from She-Ra would probably be another one of my favorite terms of character development, the personality you're getting, and just happening to be LGBTQ, and just she's such a spitfire, and I just really, I don't know, I think that one would probably fit into my favorite category.
Okay, good to know. Need to actually get into She-Ra.
Another great show with a lot of representation on Netflix. And Netflix, I feel like, actually, and no, we're not sponsored by them, so I'm not looking for cash cows, but stuff like Kipo is a Netflix original series that has some gay representation to it. You have stuff like, oh my god, why am I blanking on the show that I was thinking about now? I hate when I do this, ADD brain, come on.
I mean, that fits right into the podcast, but I'm going to talk while you try to think for a little bit. But yeah, no, like I've watched the first like few episodes. I'm about like halfway through the first season of Kipo, and definitely you see that and can feel that early on, and it's not, it's a part of the story, but it's not like the story for anything like that. And to just kind of change topics a little bit while you're looking this up on your phone.
Don't rat me out, man. It's an auditory medium. They can't see what I'm doing.
But to go back to anime talking a little bit, a show that really was very, I guess, central, because there's a lot of phallic shapes in it and a lot of phallic material of Gurren Lagann, that you had the character of Liron on there that was very, very ambiguous because you could not tell if they were male or female. I mean,
the androgyny of it all.
It was wonderful. And Liron throughout the entire series was just a staple within Team Gurren, and he was used as a joke here and there, but they really helped the entire team fight the anti-spiral. And not to do too much of a spoiler, this is going to be a big spoiler for all of this. He helped them achieve their ultimate goal of everything. And it was really cool because there was like maybe at the beginning when you first met Liron, like one or two jokes into are they gay? Are they female? Are they male? What are they? And outside of that, they just became a part of the team, which is kind of what I would love to see in society. That, like, I love Pride Month, being an ally with everything. I want to make sure that people can love who they want to love, that no matter who you are, just be you. But at the same time, it should just be a part of normal society.
And seriously, guys, after this podcast today, after listening, go find a organization online and go donate. I'm not going to be the expert on which one to tell you to go to, but again, go donate, go support, especially during this month. And now that my ADD brain is a little bit back on track and Steve ratted me out, but some of those Netflix shows, again, like Kipo, has their gay representation as a subtle storyline, like we were talking about a little bit. We were also talking about She-Ra, where it's very much kind of the center forefront story without it really being the center forefront story, because there's still a lot going on in that show outside of that. You have Mitchells and the Machines, that Netflix movie that Alex Hirsch worked on. The main character of that is queer represented. So that's just another fun tidbit to throw in there. Obviously, you got Big Mouth. BoJack Horseman has a lot of representation in it as well.
And that one, you hit, like, not just, oh, you're gay, you're lesbian. It's not just hitting same-sex relationships. It's hitting a lot of different ones where there's some trans in there, as well as, to be honest, and I'm probably, a little bit closeted growing up, I saw some of my first representation of Ace, which you don't see a lot in mainstream media. You don't see a lot of representation for that, and I thought that was really fun.
No, absolutely. Can't really think about that, honestly. I can't in my brain think about the Ace representation in shows. Like, I don't really... Yeah, that is a strange, interesting topic that is just hitting me now. Like, I can't really think about too many Ace characters in media.
Mm-hmm. And, like, there definitely are, like, little subtleties towards some characters that you could, like, potentially see as Ace. But this one with Todd was definitely, like, it slightly hit you over the head of it because it was a part of several episodes and, like, a small arc. And, like, yeah, it was out front and everything. But at the same time, it just kind of bled into the rest of the show, which I thought was really nice.
And another case of Ace representation, which, thank you, over here. Oh my God, now I just blanked on his name in BoJack. Todd, thank you, Todd. I was going to call him Rick Chavez, and I know that wasn't it. Todd. But Todd is a great great story to follow throughout the duration of BoJack Horseman. Just, you see him as this wacky kind of eccentric, larger than life kind of character, and him in the middle of all this trying to figure himself out because of his screwed up life and all the things that led up to him being where he is now. It's a different take on Ace, but it's definitely one that I feel like a lot of people would relate to more than maybe you would realize from first watch.
Oh, 100%. I don't know where we want to go from here. If there are any other shows that we want to look into.
I can't believe that it took me this long, because that was terrible on my part. But Steven Universe! Dude, lesbian sentient space rocks. That's literally the promo of the show. No, I'm serious, but you can talk about Peridot as an Ace character as well, going back into just that whole conversation.
I don't know. I always thought that she had the eyes for Lapis Lazuli.
Listen, everybody wants Lapidot. It's not real. No, Peridot can't do that. We watched it with Garnet. We can't do the fusion dance. Why are we getting into a Steven Universe breakdown right now? Because it's the show that I absolutely love. But,
I mean, hell, we could do an entire episode on Steven Universe if we really wanted to. And I'm surprised
Rebecca, come on!
And I'm surprised that it took you this long to figure it out, because you were working with roses earlier today.
Yeah. They were purple, not pink.
Yes, for all of our listeners out there, all like 3 of you that are, part of our family.
Still painfully listening, and I appreciate you for doing so.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with our dumb.
It's me. It's mostly me.
Rob was here, or before coming over to record today, Rob was in his garden transferring roses, and the only thing that popped into my brain was, wow, I wonder if he's going to find a rose quartz in there somewhere.
We are the Crystal Femmes, and we are here to save the day. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, I was saying, no, let's talk Steven Universe for a little while, because I think that's a
perfect relationship. Ruby and Sapphire, Garnet. We'll talk about just, lesbian representation, and, also just how a relationship should be in terms of what we're talking about, right? A lot of people will immediately see the headline of LGBTQ and obviously go immediately to the sexual aspect, but Steven Universe does a great job of treating these sort of topics kind of with kid gloves while also keeping it very honest and real with you, and about just how to interact with a relationship, or even in the case of Garnet, when you watch that series in its totality, and I'm sorry for the spoilers, but you watch this idea of like a perfect relationship, and then it all falls apart, and having to watch you pick up the pieces, even saying from an outsider perspective, somebody may look like they have something that's perfect, and you don't understand or see what's going on underneath, and how much work they've put in to keep it at that level into an outsider's perspective of, oh, it's the perfect relationship. They're always together. They're always holding hands.
But even when early on in that show, it may look like a perfect relationship, but you can see cracks early on. Garnet is just this stoic person that that you can always go to if you need motherly advice about punching something.
Aggressive motherly advice?
Oh, 100%. But
I mean, it's better than going to Amethyst.
I love Amethyst, though. It's just
psst, it's me. I'm a horse.
But looking at Garnet, you can see that, they may have a very good relationship, but there are some cracks here and there. And the whole storyline of when you actually get to see it's Ruby and Sapphire separated out, because for those of you who don't know Steven Universe, these humanoid crystal gem
lesbian space rocks
can fuse into a new crystal. So how you have Ruby and Sapphire as crystals, they do a fusion dance and become Garnet, and that's a whole new legitimate person. You have 2 people legitimately combined into one. It is the weirdest form of Voltron I've ever seen.
You're not 2 people. You're not 1 person. You're an experience.
essentially. But the whole storyline of watching them separate and try to work through their relationship is beautiful to watch. And then
masterclass level stuff.
And once again, to go with the spoiler warning right here, their wedding is so cute. To see Garnet, to see her in her tuxedo, and to see Sapphire in her beautiful dress, and then when they finally fuse back together into Garnet, seeing the combination of wedding dress tuxedo, I'm just like, why aren't there more like LGBT weddings like that? That would be beautiful, man.
And also, we got to sit there and thank Rebecca Sugar for fighting so hard to get that marriage up on live television for people to see, because honestly, that wasn't something that really got tackled in a lot of the media that you watch today. Not a lot of people saw a gay wedding, so it was something that Rebecca had to fight Cartoon Network over for a long time. And you can go to her TikTok, you can go to her stories and try and discern some of this information on your own, kind of, right? So just the fact of, you still have major networks that still don't really see, or not really see, but how to best represent LGBTQ in their media and in their platform, and they're trying to limit some of these creators to and you saw that with Owl House too, with like how limiting they're allowing the representation to be on screen,
And I just want to interject real quick. I fucked up. It was the opposite of what I said. Ruby was in the dress and Sapphire was in the tuxedo, which I think is even more beautiful because
the masculine, angry.
Oh yeah, the masculine, angry female Ruby being in a dress, just being like, I'm now a pretty, pretty princess. And Sapphire, the cold, collected, I know everything because I can see into the future, wearing a tuxedo, is adorable. And just seeing that fuse into one with them is just a great thing to check out. But another show I want to bring up real quick, just to, just small little tap in, also to pad out time a little bit, is the now defunct Rooster Teeth. I'm so sad to say that, which it breaks my heart. The show Ruby, of the four main characters with that it's two of the main characters at the moment, Blake and Yang, seeing that representation of a beautiful, healthy couple that you could see. Some of them had eyes for each other early on in season 1, and finally in season 9 they get together, which is great. But all four of the main characters, Ruby Rose, Yang Xiaolong, Blake, why can't I remember her last name at the moment? Belladonna, and Weiss Schnees, all represent different parts of the LGBTQ community, where you have kind of Weiss as your straight person that, has a little bit of queer in them, just like most people nowadays. You had Yang as your straight badass lesbian that everybody wants in their life.
Everybody needs a good lesbian.
Oh god, Yang is my favorite character in that entire show, and I'm not afraid to say that because I love her as a character, and I love her voice actor, Barbara Dunkelman, who, Barbara, if you ever get a chance to hear this, I would love to sit down and talk with you.
That would be such a treat for us, honestly. That would be so freaking cool.
Then you have Blake, who is definitely seen as bi, that does tend to, lean a little bit more queer now that she's dating Yang. And then you get to see Ruby, that she really doesn't have a love interest, and a lot of the ace community is just latching into her. And I think that's great, because you don't always need a love story within everything, especially when you have a female as your protagonist. You don't need that female to go, oh, which big strong knight's gonna save me? Fight for yourself, and that is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And just I'm going to talk about two shows really quickly, just in terms of some representation in there. Dead Andia, Alex Brightman vehicle for Pugsley. Just an adorable show, but talking about trans characters and bi relationships and that kind of end. The main character being trans, the other protagonist being... One more time?
Non-binary.
Yeah, there we go, that thing. Right, non-binary. And I really do not mean to say that as that thing. That sounded very wrong, but you know what I mean. And then the other show, and collectively between both of us, one of our favorite things is Scott Pilgrim, and just the representation in that with the best freaking character in existence with Wallace. And then we can double down on that and talk about Kim and Knives makeout in the comics and not mentioned in the movie, but it's also mentioned again in the graphic novel or the new Netflix series. So,
but what about everybody's favorite character, Stephen Stills? Wait, he's gay?
Wait, bread makes you fat?
Bread makes you fat. But yeah, no, like Scott Pilgrim, the movie, and Scott Pilgrim, the manga. I'm gonna call it a manga.
It's a manga. It's a graphic novel, but it's a manga. Let's be real.
It's a manga.
It's an American manga.
Just how it's written and everything. Yeah, no, you can definitely see that they're in those two that, Brian Lee O'Malley was working through some shit.
You can tell that the Netflix series was, hey, I went to therapy, and I'm a lot better now.
Therapy is good. For those who need help, please go to therapy. This is coming from a person who's starting to get into that and has been struggling for a very long time.
I've been to therapy too, man. We got to stop stigmatizing it. It's not something that, should be seen as a weird thing. It should be seen as just like you're going for a workout. You need to get yourself mentally right as well. You can't go through life just having the storm in your brain, You got to be able to talk to somebody, and if a therapist is your ultimate way to go, do it.
So yeah, for me, no, it's more of the time commitment because 2 jobs and life sucks. Anyway, moving on before we get too heavy. Why don't we just roll this out and finish it up and talk about where we'd like to see representation, where all of this kind of go from here.
I mean, honestly, you kind of heard my points throughout this in terms of just for me, in terms of representation in media, I think it needs to become subvert and something that is a part of the natural proclivities of watching life happen, right? I would say that. And then the other thing that on my end, even though I am not the gamesman here, I'm not the video game man over here, Mr. Steve is, but we need to get more representation in games. I saw some stat, but...
Oh, yeah, no, that stat that you brought up to me before while we were doing, cursory research for all of this shit, was that only 2% of video games have representation within the LGBTQ community, which I think that's so stupid.
But even if going back to our original topic, and I'm sorry, I keep adding on here, but Scott Pilgrim has representation in it. They had a video game. How does that not have any kind of representation to it? Steven Universe, how does that not have any kind of representation in there involved in it? It's something that we consume as most Americans do. Most people have an iPhone or a smartphone that they can pull up a game on their phone and start playing, right? How do we not have more games that positively reflect the LGBTQ community?
I think they're building out more games with that, but they're coming a lot from the indie studios, so it's stuff that is still trying to get into mainstream. I think the 2% is from mainstream media,
just like milk
and AAA games. But one of the first gay relationships that I can remember in playing video games comes from Mass Effect 3, where in that series, you could romance and anything, essentially, as being Commander Shepard. If you were female, yeah, you could have some good female on female fun. But if you were a guy, it took until the 3rd game to have one other male that you could romance, and they were like a big muscly dude. That if that's not your style, if you're into something else, you're not going to want to romance them.
Right, no, absolutely. And my wife plays this game, so she would probably know more about it than I do. But Stardew Valley apparently allows for some queer representation, queer relationships to be played out in that game, which is awesome. And again, should just be something that's normalized at this point.
Oh, 100%. And like you can definitely see that in other medias, like in animation, there's a lot more representation that are coming out that's being just shown in the main light.
Just go back 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at comics, there has been a lot of representation within the comic world for a very long time now.
Isn't Miles Morales bi? Isn't that like a confirmed canonical thing? My wife's nodding her head in approval, so I'm assuming that that is correct because she is the gay guru in my life.
Yes,
she knows a lot of things.
Miles Morales is bi, and Iceman is gay and is happily married, but it took a long time for them to come out within the comic realm. But for the longest time, there has been like representation from like the mid 90s that wasn't a joke, but it was coming up in stuff like X-Men and things like that there's prejudice already built into it, so it's a little bit more comfortable in that light to talk about something like this.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you again for tuning into the ADHD podcast. Remember, like us, go watch us consistently, and please do your best to go support the LGBTQ community and go donate or do some act of service or kindness.
Hell yeah. If you're a part of the community, awesome. If you're an ally to the community, you're still part of the community. Show them love, show them support, and if anybody wants to talk bad about them, just like Nazis, punch them in the fucking face.
Do it. Do it. Punch him in the...
Twist his... Anyway, thank you for listening up, guys.
Thanks for tuning.
Have a great day, evening, night, morning.
Whenever you're watching, listening. Bye-bye.